The Humboldt Schools, motivating achievement since 1906.
Welcome to the February edition of the Humboldt Experience. My name is Dan Streeter and I am the proud superintendent of the Humboldt Unified School District, and we have a great show lined up for you. February is all about activities and events. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the student events that are taking place, as well as talk about some of the opportunities for our parents and for the community to get involved. I have two great guests joining me today. We have a senior from Bradshaw Mountain High School, Mr. Luke Petit. Luke, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, and we have our Parent and Community Outreach Coordinator, Mrs. Kelly Lee, joining us as well. So Kelly, thank you. So great show lined up. Before we jump into our guest, we need to recognize our HUSD VIPs that were recognized at the January governing board meeting. We were at Liberty Traditional School for that board meeting. Had a great evening, great presentation by Mrs. Danette Derrickson, the principal there, and a great opportunity to honor some of the truly outstanding employees that we have here in the district. First, Mrs. Julie Renfro was our HUSD VIP for the certified staff. Mrs. Renfro is a 6th grade math teacher who does an amazing job to consistently provide rigorous instruction for her students. The RTI team, think your intervention team at a school, jokes that most of our teachers will focus on those few students that are struggling in their class or maybe need a little bit more or intense support. Julie's one of those teachers that starts to panic if any of her students struggle at any level, and she tends to document and track what she calls her group of zillion, always looking after every single one of her students and every single one of their skills. She has a heart for children, and it shows. And she wears many hats on the campus. Not only is she an outstanding math teacher and accelerated math teacher, but Julie is also the leader of the Lego Robotics team. In fact, the Lego Robotics team from Liberty qualified for the state tournament, just participated at the state level, and we certainly thank Julie for providing that opportunity for our students. Julie is a positive team player, highly involved on campus, consistently looking for ways to encourage and support not just her students but also her colleagues. So Julie, thank you for everything that you do, and congratulations to you. Our HUSD classified VIP for the month was Mrs. Rachel Culver. Now Rachel's one of our aides. She works in the English language development classroom, working with our 1st through 8th grade students at Liberty. She's in charge of one-on-one instruction as well as small group support for our students. She consistently takes the time to meet with our ELD teachers to determine strengths and weaknesses of our students and how she can be a support for those students. One of those individuals that's constantly analyzing our data for the English language learners and does an amazing job of lesson planning to meet each student's individual needs. Rachel is also one of those folks who goes out of her way to create relationships with all of her students. She takes the time to encourage and get to know each of the students at Liberty Traditional School. The students there know that they can look to her for support and assistance whenever it's needed. She's a natural in her instruction, and we see excellent growth out of our students because of their contact with Rachel. Most importantly, Rachel is in a teaching program. She's actually working towards her teacher certification, so we're looking forward to bringing Rachel on board as a certified teacher in the near future. Rachel, thank you for everything you do, and congratulations. And finally, our HUSD Volunteer of the Month, Mrs. Samantha Hurt, a parent volunteer at Liberty. Mrs. Hurt is one of those parents who's always on campus. Looks for ways that she can help out our teachers, offer support to students, and really always willing to help out in whatever task that she's needed. She volunteers for lunch duty on Wednesdays when we kind of have our wacky Wednesday schedule, if you will. If a playground aide happens to be out, Mrs. Hurt is quick to step in, whether it's throwing a football around with the students and really doing whatever she can to keep our students safe. She helps in the classroom with struggling readers, works with decoding skills, will run copies for our classroom teachers, organizes art projects so many different ways that Mrs. Hurt helps our campus. We sincerely thank Samantha for her energy and consistently supporting our students and teachers. Thank you, Samantha. Congratulations on the recognition. We certainly couldn't do it without you. So with that, I'd like to turn our attention to our guests. As I mentioned, great guests. I'd like to start with Luke. Now, Luke, you're a senior at Bradshaw Mountain High School.
I am.
And you are, you're actually involved in many activities.
Yeah, that's true.
But I want to talk about DECA for a minute. You're certainly, you're a big presence in the DECA program at Bradshaw Mountain High School, but you're really a big presence on the state level. Before I get into that, talk a little bit about DECA. What is DECA? What is that?
So DECA originally stood, it was an acronym, and it originally stood for Distributive Education Clubs of America. And when I go out and recruit kids to join DECA, I tell them that, and then I go, but wait, I know that sounds boring. It really doesn't, we don't, that's not what we stand for. In the 90s, the DECA executive board said, you know what, that doesn't really stand for what we do here in DECA, and so now it doesn't really stand for anything. It's just the name of our organization. But the great thing about DECA is it's co-curricular. So what our kids are learning in their marketing and business and entrepreneurship classes, they're then translating into what they're doing in DECA. So it's really a business and marketing organization, but to me, it's so much more than that. You know, it helps our kids grow as people, grow as leaders. You know, works on public speaking, networking, you know, social media kind of presence, all, you know, anything and everything that's going to prepare you to succeed and set you head and shoulders above everyone else in the real world. That's kind of what we work with. So.
Yeah, I think we talk a lot in this district about what we want, the skills, what skills we want our students to graduate with. We talk about critical thinking, the ability to communicate, collaborate, creativity, being able to take an idea and see that through to presentation phase. Being civically and globally engaged, and I think DECA really hits on all of those.
It does.
Different areas.
Absolutely.
Now DECA is an after-school club.
It is. Yep. Yeah. We meet after school, and the great thing about it, some chapters in our state and you know, nationally and internationally, you can only be a member of DECA if you're in a marketing or business class of some sort. We don't do that at Bradshaw because to us it's like, you know, if you want to be a part of our organization, we'd love for you to be a part. You don't need to, you know, just be in a marketing class to do so. And therefore, our kids in the marketing classes, we say, hey, if you don't want to be in DECA, that's okay. We're not going to force you to. And that's really how we've compiled a great group of kids all the way around that really have a passion for what we do and for, you know, being a part of something bigger than themselves. And so yeah, we meet once a week after school on Mondays, sometimes twice if we have conferences upcoming and we need to give them, you know, important dates and information and that kind of thing, but just once a week.
Yeah, so. and you're right, it's tied to the business and marketing classes, but as you mentioned, you know, Bradshaw freshmen may not necessarily be in those business and marketing classes during that first year of high school, but you still have freshmen in your program.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's a very inclusive organization.
It is. Yeah.
Now you've done a great job, obviously, at Bradshaw Mountain of getting students involved. But you also have a presence on a state level.
I do.
You're actually a state officer. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I actually joined DECA at Bradshaw my freshman year because I was in a marketing class. I wanted to take German, and my counselor said, well, with everything else you're in, that doesn't fit in your schedule, so we're going to put you in a marketing class instead. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds fun. And we had a different advisor at the time than the current advisor we have, but he kept talking about DECA, and I was like, that sounds kind of neat. You know, let me see what that's all about. And so I got involved, and I absolutely loved it. And then that advisor and marketing teacher actually left, and now we have the current guy that we have, Mr. Ortiz, and he's amazing. He's done so much for our chapter and for our school. He's a mentor, a friend. You know, he's definitely the best teacher I've ever had. So yeah, when he came in my sophomore year, I was basically the only one from the previous year that kind of stuck around because everybody else was an upperclassman. And so I was vice president my sophomore year at Bradshaw, and then last year as a junior, I was our chapter president. And I had always kind of had this goal in the back of my mind that I was like, you know, I want to get more involved in this organization. I want to be able to, you know, be bigger in it. And so I decided to run for state office. And basically there's a team of 10 of us from all over the state, and we are kind of the face of Arizona DECA as a whole. So Bradshaw has DECA, but 94 other high schools in Arizona have DECA as well. And so we kind of represent everybody on the national and international stage. So I serve as the executive secretary on our state officer team. So what that entails is I handle all of our social media accounts. So anything that Arizona DECA posts on Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat or anything like that, I'm kind of the one that all funnels through. And I'm kind of the behind the scenes guy for my team. Our president and our vice president are always out there, speaking and doing all that kind of stuff. And I do that as well. Just like everybody else, but I kind of take a backseat role to make sure everybody knows where they're going, everybody has what they need, to succeed and really, look and do their best. And I really enjoy that role. I don't mind being the person out in front, but I really like being able to kind of be in the background and see my team succeed.
Right. So what's kind of neat is obviously you're representing the state of Arizona, but you're representing Bradshaw Mountain High School. We have a state presence. And this does require you to travel quite a bit. I mean,
it does.
You are.
Yep.
You're probably out of school more than
I am.
Your superintendent would like.
Yeah.
But if there was any student up to the task, I know that it's you. And we appreciate what you do. Talk a little bit about, you guys just had the district competition.
We did.
And for our viewers who maybe aren't familiar, when you go to a competition, what does that look like? What are the different, what is competition for DECA?
So DECA kind of has two facets. We have kind of the leadership development side, and then we have the competition side. And second semester of the school year is really when competition season, if you want to call it that, kind of finally kicks in. And a very simplified version of the way competition would work is it involves anything within the marketing, hospitality, business realm. Anything you have an interest in, there's probably a competition for. If you're kind of a gearhead, we have automotive services marketing. If you're big into fashion, we have apparel and accessories or fashion merchandising. If you're a big sports fan, we have sports and entertainment marketing. Really anything and everything you could have an interest in, we have a competition for. And basically the way that works is you would walk into a room, or I would walk into a room if I was competing, and I would sit down at a table by myself or maybe with a partner. There's individual and team events, and there's a scenario in front of you. And so, most recently I competed in marketing communications. So my prompt was I was to assume the role of a marketing consultant for a shoe company, kind of like Crocs. They made like the kind of rubber clog shoe.
Oh, yes.
They called it Gators. They kind of ripped everything off from Crocs, but it was really cool. And so the prompt then says, okay, you are this person, and the judge that you will then be presenting your ideas to is the vice president of marketing for the organization. And they gave me a scenario of how their target market really wasn't where they wanted it to be, and they wanted to use social media and other advertising methods to kind of rebrand the entire company. How do we reach out to the younger age groups? What are we going to do to get them excited about our brand? So then you have 10 minutes to read all of that and go over kind of, write down every possible thought idea that you have on how to solve that problem. So you go through that, and there's someone timing you, and then at the end of that 10 minutes they say, okay, your time is up. So you stand up, you go into a different room, sit down at a very similar table, but instead of being by yourself, there's a judge in front of you, and that judge could be a teacher, it could be a parent of a DECA kid, people from the community, and that's really another great thing. We have a lot of community involvement within DECA in Bradshaw and the state level as well. So then you present those ideas to the judge just like that situation is real. And then they score you based on that, and that's kind of the way competition works. So you're kind of acting in a way. They give you you are this person in this scenario, and the judge is this person, and here's what you're going to talk about, and good luck. And you have 10 minutes to prep and 10 minutes to present, and then you're done. So,
I mean, this is real world.
Exactly.
Learning at its best and presenting to an authentic audience, and what a great experience. So how do we do at the district competition?
We absolutely killed it. I was like a proud dad up there because I was myself and a couple of my other state officers were running the conference. Right. So we were doing awards ceremony and all that kind of stuff, and we brought, I want to say, 40 kids, something like that, out of about 50 that we have in the chapter. And we had 20 medalists overall and 10 first place winners.
That's great.
Overall, which I was amazed. I mean, I wasn't surprised, but I was just kind of like, wow,
it's exciting.
I was. Every time I got to say a Bradshaw name, I was cheering and whooping and hollering on the inside because I was like, that's my school, that's my chapter. So it was really good, and I was very proud of them. Last year, we had a snow day, the day of district, and our bus got canceled. So I was the only one that ended up going because I had my state officer interview and stuff that day, so I kind of needed to be there. So my dad and I went, and I got to go up and accept all the test medals and stuff for our kids even though they weren't there. So this year I was super excited for the kids that didn't get to go last year and all the new kids. And they did really well, and I'm super proud of them. And I know they're just going to take it and run with it. So
that's great. So state conference is when?
State conference is March 2nd through the 4th, so it's about a month
coming
away.
Up. You guys are getting ready for state, and then international conference?
Internationals is end of April. It's April 21st through the 24th, I want to say, and it's in Atlanta, Georgia this year.
So some great opportunities for students at Bradshaw Mountain High School. Great program. Now, Luke, I obviously, you've had a lot of success in the DECA program, but you've had a lot of success in everything that you do, and I think it's important for our viewers to know you're not just DECA.
Nope.
So talk a little bit about the other activities that you're involved in at the high school.
Well, I was in marching band for 3 years. I'm not doing it. I didn't do it my senior year because of DECA, because first quarter and first semester I was packed with travel and visiting other schools and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't really fair of me to miss half the football games and half the marching band practices because I was gone. But I was in marching band. I was a drumline captain for 3 years. I'm student body secretary in my second term now with student council, so I get to work with the executive council to kind of shape our Stuco and kind of help work with the school and with the community in that facet. I'm the vice president of our Mu Alpha Theta math fraternity, if you want to call it that, which is for our kind of accelerated math kids. So I have a lot of fun with that. And then this year, well, actually in 2 weeks we're starting up. I'm going into my 4th season as a varsity tennis captain, so I'm super excited for that as well.
So that is exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next year, I know that it's not final, but about 95% sure.
Right.
Cornell College in Iowa.
Yep.
And why Cornell College?
Well, I always kind of saw myself at a small school. Cornell only has 1,200 students, so they're actually smaller than Bradshaw.
Right.
But I knew a little bit about them being from Northern Illinois originally. I kind of knew the area. It was one of the schools on my mom's list when she was going. Picking where she went to college. So I kind of knew a little bit about it, but we visited there over the summer and did a campus tour with a bunch of other schools in that area as well. And we got out of the car and walked into the admissions department, and I just kind of felt like this is it. Like I felt like you get that feeling, and at all the other schools I had a ton of fun. I really enjoyed being there, but I never really got that like this is where I'm supposed to be feeling. So hopefully, that's where I'm going to be. I actually fly out Friday with my mom for the weekend. There's a full scholarship competition that we're going to. So they take like their top 25, 30 freshman prospects and run us through interviews and kind of a competition, kind of like DECA. Right. So hopefully that will bode well for me.
Prepared.
Yeah, and then the top 2 kids they give a full tuition scholarship for. So then I would only have to pay for room and board, which should be covered with other scholarships that I have. So we'll see how that goes. But if I don't get that, I'm sure I'm still probably going to go there, and I'll be able to play tennis for them and just have a ton of fun. So.
Well, that's great. Congratulations on all your success, and certainly we wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
not just this semester, but obviously beyond.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kelly, quite a student body that we have.
Wow. Wow. Your mom should be really proud.
And she is, because we know Mrs. Poteet. She's a longtime employee of the district, and I think she stepped back this year. She's doing a lot of volunteer work for us, though.
And she's traveling with me.
Yes.
That was the other reason. She said, you're only going to be here for another year, so I need to make sure I'm with you. And so it's been fun for her to be able to come to all that stuff, too.
That's great. So let's shift gears a little bit. We talk a lot about student opportunities, but let's talk about some of the parent and community opportunities. Parent and Community Outreach Coordinator. And February is really a busy month for us.
January's been busy. February will be just as busy, yes.
So share, what are some of the events that are coming up?
So just kind of going in chronological order, we have our community conversations, which take place with you, and gives parents an opportunity to come and learn about school funding, education issues, ask you questions, kind of get your ear if they so choose. So we have a Spanish community conversation on February 1st at 5:30 at Liberty Traditional. We have childcare and food that will be provided. And this is for our Spanish-speaking families to give them an opportunity to be heard.
Yeah, and then we have our next community conversation, I think is on the 22nd. Of February at the high school. But fun events for me as a superintendent, it's community conversation with the superintendent, but really what it is, it's just an opportunity in an informal way to allow parents and community members to come out and ask questions. And you and I have fielded questions at these events from why do we do breakfast for lunch to what is the long-term sustainable funding plan for education in the state of Arizona.
Yes.
So we kind of cover everything.
And they get an opportunity to get a one-on-one answer from you. It's not a general, maybe it could be specific, but it gives other parents that maybe have those same questions an opportunity to hear your answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
A great event. So, and then we have some parent education workshops. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on with our parent education workshops?
Right. Every month we offer anywhere from 4 to 6 parenting education opportunities. Some of them are 3-part workshops. Some of them are 1 evening. In February right now, what we have solidified is a parent workshop through Arizona Children's Association, and it's first 5 years, and it's geared towards parents of children 0 to 5. So it'll be our preschool and our kindergarten parents, getting them involved with parenting education on discipline, responsibility, teaching your children how to do chores and homework. And so they're coming in to teach that at our preschool, and that information will be on our website. We also every month post our January or our parenting calendar on our website and on Facebook, and then they can register by calling me or emailing me, and we take reservations. We offer childcare for those workshops as well through our district employees, and we do ask that they register for that.
Yeah, great, and I think you've done an outstanding job of creating really age-specific workshops, because my needs as a parent with a 3-year-old are different than they are as a parent now with a middle schooler and a high schooler. Yes. Speaking of middle schoolers and high schoolers, we just had our Tech Night.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about Tech Night. What was the topic of that conversation?
So parents came to me and asked, we want an internet safety class. We want to know what they know. We want to know how they're using their devices, what they're going on, what are these apps, what are these games, how are they communicating with their friends. So we brought in a representative from Trend Micro, which is a cybersecurity firm that, on the side, do volunteer work and go to schools and parent groups and talk about internet safety. They cover all the topics you could think of, and it's just to educate parents on what their kids are doing.
Yeah, I think just a great, we're in a technology age, and there's, technology has brought so much value to our everyday lives. It's really undeniable. But with that expanded access, there's also some things that we need to be aware of, and we need to be aware of as parents. I think that I think most of my students laugh at me because I have a Facebook page. What are the different social media apps that kids are a part of? I think it's so important as parents that we know what's out there and what our kids are involved in. And how we can responsibly support our kids as they kind of go through this
Right.
period.
It is a communication tool for them. It's a social tool for them. So we want them to be responsible in what they're receiving and what they're sending out. And so we want to give them guidelines on how to do that responsibly. So they're being digitally responsible with their devices.
Yeah, I think it would be foolish to ignore technology. But we want to make sure that we are increasing the responsibility with which it's used, because it can be a valuable tool when used appropriately. Yes. So a lot of great activities. I know Future Freshman Night is probably the biggest event that's coming up. Yes. Future Freshman Night is scheduled for, I know that we do this in February. What are the dates?
February 8th. At the high school at 6 o'clock. Of course, the AP information is at 5:15. The AVID information is at 5:15. 8th graders will be getting a postcard invitation to that event and to bring their parents tour the campus, ask questions. I think they have a lot of the high school students come and show the kids around, and it's just a fun night for them to get ready for next year. Yeah,
February is a busy month in the Humboldt Unified School District. A lot of great opportunities for outreach and engagement for the community and parents. Some of these events have passed, some of these events are upcoming. I encourage you to always check our website for these great opportunities. Well, Kelly, I want to thank you for being a guest on today's show. Luke, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. It's much
Absolutely.
appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a lot going on, a lot of announcements. It's that time of year where it's cold. Please consider donating new or gently used jackets, hoodies, winter gloves, hats to the Family Resource Center. We're able to distribute these to our students who may need something to bundle up in as our temperatures are really starting to hit those lows. Also, fingerprinting services for volunteers. Again, this is no cost. We run these Tuesdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to noon at the district office on Robert Road. Please visit the district's website, www.humboldtunified.com, for any important information and events that are happening district-wide, as well as what's happening at our schools and for announcements. Remember, each school has their own webpage as well. Some important dates to remember. It is February. We do have our usual Wednesday 1 hour early release on February 7th. Also note that on February 13th is our regularly scheduled governing board meeting. We will be at Granville Elementary School for that at 6:30. Also on the 14th, again, a Wednesday early release. And then on February 19th, we will be observing President's Day. The school offices will be closed that day as we observe that holiday. And then rounding out February, again, Wednesday 1 hour early releases at all schools on February 22nd and February 28th. Just looking ahead to March, governing board meeting will be on March 6th. That's actually 1 week early due to spring break. That'll be at Bradshaw Mountain Middle School at 6:30. March 7th is a 1 hour early release for all schools. Again, a Wednesday 1 hour early release. March 9th ends our third quarter, which it's hard to believe that we're coming up on the end of the third quarter, but there will be a 2 hour early release for all of our schools, and then we will be observing spring break from March 12th to the 16th. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of the Humboldt Experience. Have a great February, and we look forward to seeing you at any, if not all, of our community events.
The Humboldt Schools, motivating achievement since 1906.